Here's my top 5 fan bases that I have the worst interaction with, or even either in person or on here or social media in general. Some honor West Virginia is on the honorable mention list, but the majority of those are really good. It's their unrealistic expectations, and I have one interaction with a West Virginia fan after a Baylor women's basketball game in the Big 12 tournament. They just rubbed it in and not classy showing. But after that, not really that bad. Not really. Oklahoma State, only because of recently, they were so salty when somebody said Baylor could go 11-1. And it wasn't me even. They're so salty. I mean, they were. But after that, I don't have many issues. Iowa State because of Cyclone Larry. One of those. Yeah, I'm saying that. And some of those are unrealistic. They even think 9-3 this year in football. This ain't last year's team. So they're a little delusional and unrealistic for this year. So that's. And it seems like Iowa State fans hate Baylor fans more than Baylor fans do Iowa State. It seems like it to me. Number 5 would surprise you. Oklahoma. It's only because of their football. The football fans being arrogant as they could be. But after that it's about the same as Iowa State. A little worse. They're more worse. And they're softball. Though I haven't to, but I imagine they are. Kansas at number 4. It's only because of their men's basketball fans. That's for the majority of those. And granted, for all these, it's not every single person's like that. It's not. It's some, not all. Of course, number 3, it's a rival, and they're in the SEC. It's not Texas. It's not TCU. It's Texas A&M. And granted, I know Texas A&M grads, and they don't act like those Aggies. They don't act like. What about they are so. It's just the way they talk during sporting events that just gets to me. And man, they could be really rude. I mean, they can be. It's the truth. And they hate Baylor so much. Baylor has not played them in women's basketball since they left for the SEC. Men's basketball they have. Football they haven't. I think for everything else is a yes. I think. I'm not so sure about softball. TCU's at number 2 because the way that they act is a little. And the only reason why Texas A&M is lower than TCU, by the way, is because I don't have to deal with them on a consistent basis. TCU, I have to deal with a little bit more on a consistent basis because they're in the Big 12, and they're about the same as A&M, maybe a little bit higher in terms of the way they act. And guess who's number 1? Texas. They always have unreasonable expectations. And they say, we're back. You're not in football. How many Big 12 titles since 09? 0. And they hopped on to me when I said 4-8 or 5-7 at worst. They were triggered, and it just shows how secure they're about their football program. They even thought home field advantage would give more motivation to play at home than for teams going on the road. That simply isn't the case. And if any fan base that says that, that is false news. It's equally motivating. And I interacted with, like, I've seen Texas fans at other things as well. They act the worst out of the bunch. And you know what's funny is, the reason why the Big 12 didn't expand in 2016 is simply because of Texas. They didn't want to expand because they knew they were going to leave. The same goes for Oklahoma. At least Oklahoma isn't sure, both of those teams are bullies in terms of ruling the Big 12, like what to do. But Texas is worse than Oklahoma. And this is the team that I want to go to the SEC. I want them to leave for the SEC right now. I do. Because I'm tired of dealing with them. I really am. Or at least in the next few years, please go. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. I just hope it's like end of this academic, like back in next year, there'll be no Texas, no Oklahoma, and get the new Big 12 in. Because that way it's no bullies in the Big 12 on ruling what to do. And they're the ones that complained about the horns down, and they made it a penalty. They complained and make it a penalty. That's ridiculous. So this is, as you can tell, these are the top 5, and I have a few honorable mentions as well. Though the Baylor fan base does drive me crazy sometimes. Don't get me wrong, they do. Because they wanted Nicky Collin to be fired after 2 losses last year. Or 2 losses in conference play and 4 losses overall. That's being unreasonable. And the same goes for Dave Aranda's first year in a COVID year. It's year 0 to me for him. Man, some of those have unrealistic expectations, but, you know, like I said, it's only for some of the fans or a few, not to all. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys later. It's going to be the 400 subscribers and more by the end of this year.